Thank you so much for joining us today, Yvette. I'm very much looking forward to this interview.
Great. I remember being a first year teacher, and yes, it can be nerve-wracking. So I have a few years experience, so maybe I can help out.
Exactly. That's exactly why I reached out to you, and I look forward to this. So I will start with my first question, which is, what were your fears or challenges in your first couple years of teaching, and how did you overcome those?
Well, I have to say my biggest fear was classroom management. And I think it is no matter what you're teaching. So you will probably see that I will go back to that here and there, because if you don't have the respect and the attention of students, you cannot teach. So, and it was my biggest fear because I had a bad experience in my practicum, and I'm talking about my first year, especially. And to overcome it, I guess I went back to that experience in my practicum. And the experience was that I was being supervised by my university professor, and it's the first time I was alone with that grade 5 class. Well, all hell broke loose. They were all clowns. They all followed. It was terrible. So I had a perfect lesson plan. I was being observed. I taught nothing. I spent all class, you move over there, writing names down, da, 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 da. At the end of the class, I was sure that my professor was going to say, you might as well, you're done, like you fail your practicum. And it was the opposite. And I remember that as if it was yesterday. It was many years ago. He said, you did exactly what you had to do. You could not teach in that environment, and you had to show them that you were in charge. And the next day, it was easier because I had spoken to students privately. I think, contacted a parent or two. This is your child. Oh, no, not yes, it is, And so, and of course, my cooperating teacher was great. So she had helped me out. And I'll always remember that you cannot teach in chaos. So it was my fear, and it is real.
Amazing. Thank you. I 100% agree. And I'm sure many new teachers will face those same challenges and hopefully learn from your experience. Thank you. My next question for you is, what is your individual strategy for a successful year of teaching French immersion?
I'd say it is that, and again, a lot of the stuff I say would be for teaching anything, but I think it's that each day you have to go in assuming the best in each student, giving them a clean slate. First day of school, whether it's a new year, whether it's a new day, every child should be entitled to come in with a clean slate. And by assuming they can do it, a lot of times, like there's the quote, like, I could because my teacher thought I could. It is so true. It is so true, and also to celebrate success. And I'm going to tell you, last week, I received a Facebook message from a girl I had taught in junior high, core French or extended core, years ago. She lives out west. She was in her home in Nova Scotia, and her parents, she was cleaning stuff up in her, whatever, trunk or whatever. And she sent me a note that I had sent her parents that year. And it was all about, oh, I am so proud of this girl because she speaks French, all the time, and she's an asset to the class because she does speak French and she's encouraging other people. All these years, that note was still there, and it brought me back to, parents want them to catch their kids being good, no matter what the subject. So to celebrate, especially the kids that you don't expect them, oh my God, catch them being good, and tell the parents and celebrate, but be specific about the celebrating too. If it's a kid who's reading, like, I like the way today that you stopped at the end of the sentence when you were reading, and whatever. So celebrate and assume the best.
Yes. That is an amazing tip. And just as you were speaking, it made me think of a situation I had in my practicum this past year. There was a student who had dyslexia, and so it was really challenging for them for
Yeah.
spelling new French words. And I
Is this
remember,
better, the light? No?
no, the other one is better.
Yeah.
There we go. I remember on one of her little quizzes, she had gotten 0 out of 5, but I could really see the wheels turning. I could see that she was phonetically trying to sound the words out. And so I wrote, even though it was a 0 out of 5, I said, great work. I can really see the wheels turning. You're trying to sound out as best you can. And her mom sent a note back saying, thank you so much for that kind of encouragement.
Yeah.
It really helped her want to keep trying. So I thought, okay, I have to make sure that I continue to do this moving forward.
Exactly.
Fantastic. Thank you. Can you share 3 tips to our viewers that reduce stress and overwhelm when planning for or during the year?
Also, can you repeat the question?
Yeah. Can you share 3 tips that might reduce stress or overwhelm for new teachers when planning for or during the year?
Okay, thank you. I think maybe it might not be so much on the planning, but to have a successful year is how I looked at it. I really believe that you should strive to have a happy and healthy life yourself as a person. I've known throughout my years many people who were so unhappy in their relationships, in their life, or so, and just that when they came to school, they wore it, and students know it. They know the teacher who will stand there and want to be there. They will know that. So strive for that. Students can tell, like I said. Another one would be have a plan B all the time. Have a stack on your corner of your desk, because there will be times when plan A is not working, and don't stretch it. It will not work. If it's not working, just give it up. Go to plan B. Or even there will be situations arising when there's conflict in the classroom, or there's an emergency and you need, so have some photocopies, but also some maybe activities that are interactive and that will get the kids moving too. Like, I'm a big believer of like rhymes and songs and stuff, and the minute you can start that, it changes the dynamic in the classroom. So certainly have a plan B. Another thing would be get parents on your side. Again, it's not like the really planning part maybe, but be proactive. I guess that's probably planning. Like, I remember teaching core French even to junior high, and the kid had not completed an assignment or a project, whatever, and calling the parents a week before and saying like, I'd hate for him to not get any points for that. So, can you please just let him know that I'm still accepting, or accept it a day late if you want to. Make exceptions. It's not a perfect world out there. You will need to apologize sometimes, and you will need to make exceptions. So certainly letting parents before report cards, if a kid is struggling with like reading or whatever, I have often called and said, okay, there's like 3 weeks left, and I'm tell them what you're going to do. I'm going to work on this with your student, but maybe at night you could do like the addition tables, or maybe you could set a timer for 5 minutes, or because there's still time for them to, and it's overwhelming sometimes the progress you will see before report card. You want to show them that you want the kid to succeed, basically.
Amazing. Thank you.
That was 3 things.
Yeah, that was an amazing 3 things. Thank you. On the flip side of that now, could you share 3 things that new teachers should stop doing either right now or in their first couple of years for them to be successful?
Well, this is a different one than back in my day, but and it's great that there's a lot of information out there, but teachers have to stop being on Facebook and Instagram and feeling they have to do everything. Years ago, I was part of a group, a Facebook group. And this one teacher kept just asking all the time, like, how do you teach reading? And, you know, and of course you'd have 25 different people telling you how to teach reading. And then, but how do you do this? And that person, I wanted like just scream, like, get off Facebook and plan. Get like, yes, certainly get a few people you really believe in and follow them, and you know, maybe, but you cannot follow or try to mimic like, you know, 30 people. It's time consuming, while you could spend the time taking care of yourself to be a better teacher, and planning the reality of what's in front of you each day. So I would say that, and it's tempting. Oh my God, it's so tempting. I know. My next thing would be to stop. And I did that at first. Say something in English, no, in French, and then you say it in English. And I'm not sure how, you know, what student would want to is not catching on that, oh, can block myself off to the French because the English is going to follow. And it's a habit. And if you get into that habit, you feel for them, you want them, you feel they don't understand, it's better to take your time. And I'm not sure what, there's all grade levels here, I'm sure, but no matter the grade level, if they're you know, if they've been speaking English like the year before, they'll come in speaking English. It's in September anyway. So work on reducing the English, but be the model yourself. You know, it will take more time. You will have to sing and dance and you know, but it's worth it, because if you start like that, it's hard to break that habit, and we've all been there. So, you know, another thing would be to not spend a lot of time on negativity. And I have been there. I've had some administrations that, you know, I did not think they were doing a good job. And so when you first get into a class, to a school, some people are just waiting. Some staff members are, oh, well, I'm good. You know, I don't like that teacher or that staff member or that student who was there before. So I'm going to make sure. Some are just waiting. Do not buy into it. And just because a student had difficulty the year before, clean slate. Yeah. And it's not worth the negativity. And you can also get in trouble for it, you know, about talking about other staff members or administration. So just go in with a positive.
Amazing. Thank you. Those are fantastic tips, and I cannot wait for these new teachers to be able to implement them. So thank you so much. What is your morning or after school routine that has set you up for success when teaching?
I'm not sure if I'm a good person to ask, because I'm a morning person. My daughter is a teacher, and she needs to have everything set before she goes home at night. But yet she gets there at the very last minute in the morning. I'm like, my best ideas come to me when I was driving my car to work. And I'm a very impulsive, like, oh my God, I'm going to do that today. You know, not a good idea for your first year. You certainly need planning. But I found that by the end of the day, especially with the little ones, I had nothing left in me. I'm very high energy. I had used so much energy that I did waste a lot of time, like after school, sometimes staying just because you feel you have to stay, and popped in my chair, and other teachers would come in and talk to me. I learned later on that it was a lot better for me to go home, go for a run, go for a walk, do something else, but to stay there because I was actually used. So if time is not productive, listen to your body and look at what you're doing and say, okay, I'm not productive either morning or night, like, you know. But I always found that to get there in the morning, you know, it earlier was better for me. So that's what has worked.
Amazing. Thank you. I know that this message will reach teachers who are morning people and who also are evening people. And so it's really nice to hear both sides, like the morning side from yourself. And I've heard a couple after school sides?
Oh, I admire, like, if my daughter, if she gets in a car accident or has COVID, like, someone else can walk in her class, like, all okay, if I got sick, I was like, oh my God, if someone walks in my class, my desk is a disaster. And what am I going to do? I have to go to school before they get there, the substitute. So I'm not a good example.
That's okay. But I know at least sometimes some people might like their planning time to be in the morning. Maybe it's
Yeah.
not for that particular day. Maybe it's
Yeah.
planning for the next day, but you're right. Some people do like morning planning, morning
Yeah.
inspiration.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
My next question for you, Yvette, is what is one thing that you know now with all of your fantastic years of experience
Mhm.
that you wish you knew starting off?
I think, and it's a different time than when I started, right? But I think it would be that you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Like, I spend a lot of time, and then there was not all the information out there, and the resources and the help from your consultants and boards, like, go to them. Like, sometimes people will be in these groups, like, how do I, what are the outcomes? Like, there must be some outcomes, or I'm not sure what they're called in different provinces, some guidelines in every, like, that's your thing. Like, don't listen to someone else in another province, like, totally, until you know what the expectations are in your board, because they might be different, or in your province. But you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Some of your time might be a lot better. Yes, you will have to create some things, but there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of free stuff out there. So go get that and use it, instead of and then you can spend your time and energy on other things.
Amazing. Thank you.
Mm.
So I know that most new teachers will be watching this before the school year, so sometime during the summer. What is one thing that new teachers can do today to help prepare themselves for being a French teacher in the new year, or in the year to come?
Well, I mean, if they're teaching primary to 2, they go to my TPT store. I have a lot. I have a lot of free stuff. All kinds of teachers. Like, there's a lot of free stuff on TPT, right? There's a lot of people, if you follow, like, their email, like, I can gladly give my email address. I have free stuff, and a lot of the experts give a lot of tips. And again, you don't want too much, and you don't want to spend all your summer looking, I know. But it would be to do that, and to have some things ready, and just also have a good summer relaxing.
Great advice. That is good, because you need that. I'm sure the first year is extremely overwhelming. So
Yeah. And I don't want the pendulum to go the other way. Like, I think sometimes there's also the pendulum, like, it's a different time. I'm only working from 9 to 3. It's, like, there's also that. And listen, you've chosen the wrong career if you think it's a 9 to 3, because it's not just a job. I remember the first time that the principal then would come and give you the paycheck. And I'm like, seriously, after a month, I'm being paid to do this? Like, to me, it wasn't a job, and I loved it until the very last day when I walked out. And I'm really hoping that, these teachers listening find success. You got a lot of it is common sense and a love of children, and having a positive attitude. So
yes.
Fantastic.
Thank you. My very last question for you today is, who was or is your mentor, your inspiration?
Well, if I think a lot of times we like to think of a teacher if we've chosen to be a teacher. And it would have been a high school teacher who kept like giving me the benefit of the doubt, I guess, when I asked her to do something. And the course was home ec, like clothing and textiles. And believe it or not, that was my major. Like, so I've done a lot of things, but she knew that I loved it and that I was good at it. And any projects that we did, when I went to her for help, she'd say, like, what do you think? Show me how you would do it, or go and try it or something. And that was the only teacher who did that. So it left me like, yeah, that's how I want to be. I don't want to do it all for the students. I want, when you discover it yourself, it's so much more powerful. So
great. That's a great mentor right there, right? Amazing.
I've told her that too.
Yeah. Oh, that's
many
nice.
years after. It's really important that you tell your mentor. I mean, a few students said they became teachers because I inspired them, and that's about the best.
Yes,
the best
I know. I used to go back to my grade 7 and 8 teacher all the way until mid-university and come and visit her, and she really was my inspiration. So
important.
amazing. Yeah. Thank you so much for answering all of my questions. You provided such valuable information that I know these new French teachers will be able to use and really feel confident walking into their first classroom. So
it's a great career. I hope they enjoy the journey. Bonne chance.
Thank you.